Hey, welcome to another episode of Child Please Podcast. I am Erica Simpson,
I am Regina Weathersby.
and we are the founders of the Blue Rose Foundation. We are super excited this week as this is Black Maternal Health Week. And so I'm excited about our guests. And we're going to just jump into it today. So, our topic today is, what does Black maternal health mean to you? Before we turn it over to Miss Rosalyn, to me, Black maternal health means everything from advocacy to pre-birth, pregnancy, postpartum, all the things Black women, Black motherhood. And like I said, I'm so excited to be able to participate in this week. And I'm going to turn it over to Regina.
Okay. So our guest today is Miss Rosalyn Adams, LMSW. How you doing, Rosalyn?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you all? And thank you again for reaching out and allowing me to do this today.
Yes. Miss Rosalyn is the founder of Chocolate Milk Mommies. Yes. So tell us about your organization. It's wonderful, wonderful, but I want you to tell us, just kind of give us an overview of what Chocolate Milk Mommies is, how it came to be, and then we'll jump into our conversation.
Absolutely. So, Chocolate Milk Mommies, or CMM for short, is a nonprofit that focuses on maternal and reproductive health for Black women. Um, we were based off in Birmingham. We actually started and were founded in August of 2017. And it literally just started from a photo shoot. It was like 8 or 9 of us moms, and we got together because we noticed like there's not a lot of awareness about breastfeeding in the Black community. There's not a lot of pictures out there about Black women breastfeeding, and it doesn't seem like it's something that's like natural, or it seems like it's something that's kind of taboo in the Black community. And so we had a conversation about it, and then we started having more conversations about like our birthing experiences, our current nursing journeys, the support or lack thereof that some of us kind of had throughout that time. And it was like we are all having some of the same issues. And if 8 of us are having the same issues, I know for a fact it is a lot more mothers out there. And so essentially, that's why we started. CMM started off as a support system, basically, for Black mothers who love to lactate. And then it just grew and expounded from that. We went into school systems, taught some of the teens about breastfeeding, the importance of it, because you, of course, know that there are some teens who had babies. Um, so we started a teen outreach program. We were trying to get moms to breastfeed for at least 6 months, and we started incentivizing them with money, gas cards, food cards. And then we started a parent outreach program where we literally would go to moms' houses, see how we could support them and make sure that they had everything that they needed to have a safe, peaceful lactation experience. Um, and then we started realizing, oh, wait a minute, it's moms who really, really need lactation support, but it costs. It's not covered by insurance. And it's like 200 a pop, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on where you go. But after you just had a baby and all those things, you're not trying to pay extra money just to go for somebody to look at your boobs for 10 minutes and tell you, oh, wrong latch. So we decided to start lactation consultations where we went into hospital settings, home settings, or we allowed moms to come to our monthly mommy meetups, and we did lactation consultations for free. And we still do that and offer that as well. And then we offer it virtually. So essentially, we just wanted to make sure moms had support, families had the resources that they needed, um, and they just had a village. And that's really like our holistic look at everything. It takes a village to raise a child. And so, with that, what does a village look like for you, mom? And so we just kind of started building off the top of that. And now we have, we're up to our ninth community baby shower. We have over 6,000 followers in our private Facebook group that also offers like a curriculum guide for pretty much any question related to antepartum, postpartum, and lactation. And just like a resource guide for moms. So, yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome work. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so, how would someone find you all online?
So we do have a website. It's www.chocolatemilkmommies.org. And then we also have a public Facebook page under Chocolate Milk Mommies, Instagram under the same name. And then we have our private Facebook page that is strictly for women of color. That they go to, and they have to answer just a few sensory questions because, again, we're trying to protect our moms and protect our space in that private Facebook group. But once they answer all those questions that we have, they're able to get in our private Facebook group as well.
Okay. Erica.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. And so when you hear the question, what does Black maternal health mean to you? Tell us about
For me and for CMM as a whole, it looks like breaking barriers that we have within the state and just beyond. Because it's just a lot of things that's hindered us as Black women for a long time, from miseducation to misinformation, so many things. So it looks like that. It looks like having those hard conversations and talking about those hard things that, we're afraid to talk about in other spaces because we don't want to seem difficult. It's also just being aware and understanding that all things aren't going to be perfect, but we can make it as perfect as can be. And then maternal health also means ensuring that everybody has access to equal care and reasonable care. Don't say. So, yeah, it looks like all of those things in one.
it. And I think another piece is everybody has equal education. 'Cause like you said, in the Black community, breastfeeding is taboo. Well, it has
Mhm.
been taboo. Up until recently, you really didn't really hear a lot of women speak about it. I remember when I had my baby, my mom was just intrigued when the lactation consultant came in. Because she was like, she had never heard of it. We work in breastfeed. So I think education is a big piece of it as well.
Absolutely. I know my mom, she breastfed, excuse me, my brother and I, but she even noticed like the difference in like the education piece of the understanding of like the whole lactation experience was completely different. Because my first nursing journey, my supply dipped. But nobody told me when you're on your cycle or you're stressing, that can make your supply dip. And I was doing both of those things at the same time and did not know that until, like I said, we got into this group of women and we started having these conversations. It's like, oh my God, we have not been told so many things that we needed to talk about. And again, a lot of information is kind of like outdated. So like you said, it's really, really important to have that education piece as well.
And I think it's also important to have somebody that looks like you. I think that's a big piece of the pie. Now, I will be transparent. I didn't breastfeed because my milk supply was not sufficient. But I don't know. I just kind of feel like if I did, I feel like I would have been more comfortable with someone that looks like me. Especially, like I said, when that's an intimate thing, you have to be open. And like I said, I feel like having someone that looks like me that can relate to my body structure, um, that makes a big difference as well.
Absolutely. And you're not the first, second, third mom I've heard say that, like my supply was just poof and I didn't have the help that I needed. And it makes me so sad because it's like it's literally less than 1% of women in the world who cannot produce milk. And if you're not producing it, something is not happening that needs to happen. And like, where's the help for that really? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of moms do say, like, I'm uncomfortable with going to someone who does not look like me because they may judge me or they may have this predestined motion that I've been doing something that I absolutely have no idea, no business doing, but I'm not doing that. Or a lot of times I've asked and, went into healthcare settings and asked, like, what is it that's keeping you all from giving moms this information? And a lot of times, a lot of people aren't confident enough to communicate that to African American women because they feel like we're not going to really understand it. But it's like, say it in layman's terms, and I promise you we will. So that is really a huge piece, and it breaks my heart sometimes to hear that a lot of times from our African American women.
So,
What do you can you identify for us some of the health benefits of breastfeeding for the mom and for the baby?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So for baby, of course, it can reduce SID, sudden infant death syndrome. It can also reduce like boost their immune system to kind of keep them from getting sick as often. Not to say that they're going to be completely repelled and protected from any disease or sickness, but it does minimize that a lot. It also helps with like their bone density, brain development, their gut health as well, because they're taking straight from your body and your body is producing exactly what it needs to feed that baby specifically. And so it's reducing those issues with like asthma and gut stretching that a lot of kids end up having because they're on formula. And because there's misinformation as it relates to formula and how to go through that process. And it can reduce all of that by at least 42% or more if you breastfeed for 6 months or longer exclusively. And when we say exclusive breastfeeding, we're talking about milk strictly coming from your body, whether you're pumping or you're latching. And that's the exclusive part of it. And then for mom, we're talking about reducing cervical cancer. Um, we're talking about reducing breast cancer, hypertension, high blood pressure, which of course is a lot of the things that are killing a lot of our Black women right now. It reduces those things by at least 35% or more. So super duper important. Not only that, it regulates our hormones, and for some people, depending on your body type, like it shrinks your back and shrinks your cervix back really, really quickly after birth, which is something that's super important because you want your body to heal and you want it to heal naturally. And so breastfeeding kind of amps that process up a little bit. And then for mom and baby, it just creates, not to say that you can't get a bond without breastfeeding. I'm not going to say that, but it's definitely a different type of situation when you do latch because like you and baby's hormones are responding to each other. Um,
mhm.
and and it protects you and baby from additional sickness. Like if I was sick right now, my baby was sick, we both can still transfer and I can still latch. Um, and that will actually help build extra antibodies to protect both of us. So it's just so many benefits. And it's actually, a lot of people don't think it's benefits beyond the 1 year age when kids are nursing. But it's like, actually it is because again, it's helping with that bone density, that immune health, and it actually helps with like vision and it helps with vision and like increasing that brain development past 1. So lots of benefits.
Do you run into a lot of stigma now that you said past one when you people choose to breastfeed past one?
Oh, absolutely. I myself and several parents were told that we were going to make our children over sexualized because we breastfed them past 1. I've had people say you're going to ruin them or they're just going to be hooked on boobs type situation or you're never going to get a break. And I actually nursed both of my kids. My son was 3 when my daughter was born, and he tandem nursed, which means he nursed the same time as her for about 3 or 4 months and he stopped. And my daughter, she nursed until she was about 4 years old. And of course, once she got past like 2, it was only night nurses. But yeah, a lot of people were definitely look crazy, like, dang, that baby tall and got teeth. Like, you should not be doing that. And what if they bite you? But I don't think people realize when they're 4 years old, do they have baby teeth or adult teeth? They still have baby teeth. So they still babies. And in the wild, animals normally, like naturally, in the animal kingdom, they nurse their babies to like 7, 8 years old. In some animal kingdoms, so it's like we're not hearing all of that. And again, there's still some benefits in there in doing that. And if you don't like it, you can wean them. But it's definitely been some over sexualization when it comes to children nursing past 1 years old. And we've also tried to debunk those myths. And when we do a lot of our photo shoots, we intentionally try to have moms who are still tandem nursing or feeding older children so we can kind of normalize that a little bit more because back in the day they were breastfeeding, kids till 5, 6 years old.
Yeah, because that's all they had. They
That's
didn't
it.
have they didn't have Dr. Brown bottles, so I mean,
Mm-mm. They
They
didn't have
didn't
Dr.
have
John
folks to pump it out. So,
right, or any formula up until what, the 50s or 60s. So yeah, they had to. They had no choice.
like going back to what we said, what does Black maternal health mean to you? Like, we like the mother of all, because like you said, back in the day, the milk was sometimes the nourishment for the men to be able to go and work in the field. So, yeah.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. And I think that's also like this slavery period is what created a dip in Black women wanting to nurse, because it's like it was traumatizing. Not only do we have to nurse our babies and sometimes our husbands, but we also had to nurse masses baby. And a lot of times Black mothers were left with not enough milk because they had to do that. And so their child ended up getting the bad end of everything. And so I know that also kind of caused a lot of people to kind of stray away from it, and again create that trauma inside of them, like, I'm not nursing anybody but my own kid, and I'm not going to be the one who doesn't have enough to feed my baby type situation. And I'm glad you brought that up, because we do need to have more conversations about the trauma behind Black nursing and how we can overcome that, because we absolutely can.
Hmm. Yeah. Right. Right.
Wondering if that's like, do you see a correlation? I guess at some point, not I guess, I know at some point breastfeeding was seen as the right thing to do in our culture. And so are we saying that post-slavery, maybe the view of it changed because of what people had to endure during that time? And so then
Absolutely.
we just started communicating about it differently.
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, even in the hospital settings, it was kind of communicated differently, because my mom never knew that milk is made from your blood, not your gut, which means anything I eat or drink is not going to do anything to my supply. It's not going to enhance it or decrease it. Moving milk to make milk is what we call it, is going to get you to the supply you need and keep you on the gradual path that you need. And if you're not getting that, that means baby has a tongue tie, lip tie, or there's something medically going on with mom that's preventing this from happening, but it's not a situation where you just like completely cannot. But a lot of moms feel like they can't, because on commercials in the hospital, you got that little 6-ounce bottle. And when you're in the hospital, you're probably only producing half an ounce, if that, because it's colostrum. And then after that, baby doesn't top off past like 5 ounces. I know both of my kids, they didn't go past 5 ounces, all the way up until they started eating, and then they went down from that. So, yeah.
I know for me, it was encouraged for me when I had both of my girls when I was in the hospital. But at
Okay.
the same time, I feel like giving them formula was pushed just as much. Like, so if you don't produce enough, that's okay. We're gonna leave this right here and you can, um, I'm happy that I was able to produce quite a bit for both of my girls. And so um I was able to breastfeed them for a while. But I'm just thinking back to my time in the hospital. And like I said, there was somebody that came by to kind of, let me show you what you need to do. But then after that, that little bottle was still in there. The formula bottle was there as kind of like a, hey, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. If you can't do that, then here's this other option. And so I would assume that it's easier to just grab that bottle and do that because you're tired, you're drunk, you just had an entire baby. And so you you may not feel like doing just kind of the extra work when you need to feed them, when you could just kind of grab that bottle and go. So I was just, like I said, just thinking back to my own experience and just remembering that both options were very much present
Yeah,
for me, but for a lot of people, one does seem a lot easier.
absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when you go into like, maybe make cluster feed and maybe every hour or blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's not bottle of baby milk, and then of course formula lasts longer in the gut, right? So maybe pregnant moms probably, when they take formula versus breast milk is natural laxative. So it is a lot of components that, well, not a lot of components, but it is some components that come to nursing that's completely different, versus formula feeding. That does seem like that's a lot. But when you start like getting into it and really getting the groove, and I know you can understand this too, Miss Virginia, like once you get in the groove of it, it's like breathing almost. It's nothing. It's just like, all right, come on, popping it out and keeping it moving or pumping.
Yeah. I remember I was driving down the street. I had a little electronic phone, and I had a
Oh,
whole little plan for myself. I'd be driving down the street with the little phone. And by the time I got to where I was going, it was done. And,
uh-huh.
a whole little, oh, I remember,
Absolutely.
I remember all
Yeah,
about that.
absolutely. And I'm so thankful too because they just a couple of years back they just passed a federal law. It's under the Family Leave Act, where basically if you have more than 25 employees, you have to offer a space for lactation for mothers who are lactating. So that is a beautiful thing that's come out of the past couple of years that I really, really love, and something we've been working on, trying to identify, businesses and things like that who need lactation spaces, because it's absolutely necessary. And that's also what hinders our Black moms from nursing, past 6 months. Once they go back to work in those 8 weeks, they're probably told no, or 15-minute breaks for you to pump. Mm-mm. Or they may be putting moms in bathrooms and storage closets, and that's just absolutely not the space where you need to be doing things. Um, and it's just those little small tidbits that kind of keep us from being great like we need to be, and that like we can be.
Well, Miss Rasta, we definitely appreciate the work that you do with Chocolate Milk Mommies and the education. We are thankful for the connection that we have with you all. And again, we just want to tell you thank you for celebrating Black Maternal Health week with us, and just continue to do the great work. Anything
Thank
else, Regina?
And I think you all have a community baby shower coming up on May 16th.
Yes, ma'am. May 16th from 2 to 4. It is going to be fun as always. And this time we're focusing on developmental stages and the importance of starting from womb care for yourself and baby before the baby even comes into the world, what that looks like, and how important it is. So super duper excited. We still have some tickets left. The link is through Eventbrite. So if you go on Eventbrite and search Chocolate Milk Mommies, you'll be able to find it. Or, of course, on Facebook, it's been shared multiple times. And all you have to do is click and register, and you can bring a support person to the community baby shower. And thank you for mentioning that, because we are excited always. It's our favorite event.
So
Yay.
if somebody wants to donate or to contribute to the baby shower, how can they go about doing that?
So we have a donation center at Quest for Health Chiropractic in Trussville. We also have a donation drop-off location at Centerpoint Community Center. That's right by Jefferson State Community College off Sun Hill Road. And then if you can't do that, we do have an Amazon wish list under Chocolate Milk Mommies, and it goes straight to our building space, or Cash App, PayPal if you just want to send a tiny donation. But those are the ways that you all can support.
Okay. Good
So thank you,
deal.
thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's all, folks. Until next time, thank you for joining us for another episode of Child Please Podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much.